Happy Thursday to you. Listen, would you know it was Thursday if I didn't tell you? Boy, the days and weeks have just kind of faded all together here as we deal with this pandemic. But hopefully, we're getting toward the end of it, and we'll be able to gather again soon. But I hope this has helped. It's been a lot of fun for me. There's nothing more fun for me than talking about the Bible and teaching the Bible, and I've loved this opportunity. Have you noticed a trend in the last couple of things we've been talking about? It seems like all this week we've been talking about something bad happening, something bad being required, and then Jesus doing something good with it. Bad thing, something good. Bad thing happen. Have you ever thought about that? Sometimes the best moments in your life start in a bad way. Sometimes the best things that Jesus does in your life start in a bad way. Now, how does that happen? How does Jesus take the messes of our life and work with them? Well, there's a couple of things. One, obviously, when you're in a mess like that, it's funny how attentive to prayer you become and how focused on finding God's will you become. If you'd been that focused in your prayer and seeking God's will to begin with, you probably wouldn't have ended up in the bad way. But that's a lot of what happens. Let's face it, there are no atheists in foxholes. And sometimes when you get in that kind of mess, then you get really, really attentive. But there's more to it. The real thing is, you and I deal with other human beings who are not believers, who do not follow Christ, who may have never heard of Jesus. And they do things because they're needy. They do things because they're greedy. They do things because they're angry. They do things because they feel insignificant and they want somebody to pay attention to them. They do things for all kinds of reasons, but they do things that hurt, that provoke others to anger. And you find yourself in these situations all the time. So what happens when you're in that situation that has certainly turned bad? Well, the first thing is you begin to say, hey, God must be up to something in the middle of this mess. Now, I'm not talking about being overly optimistic. There are people who say, hey, it's always going to work out. It's always going to be good. That's not what I'm talking about. Here's what I'm talking about. We know from Jesus' promises that the shepherd is always looking for the lost sheep. Jesus' purpose was to find and save the lost. If we're in a situation where somebody, through their own pain, their own mistake, their own failure, whatever, can begin to understand how lost they are and how much they need Jesus, Jesus is going to step in and do some good things in that person's life. You are put there to be part of the way that Jesus does the good thing. You and I have got to get past this thing that is just about my life and my family. As long as I'm happy and my family's happy, then everybody's happy. We get this really, really small view of the world that as long as everything's working for me, then that's all I need. No. You and I are called to be part of the mission of Jesus Christ. We're called to be fishers of men, to be following after him as he seeks the lost. And when you do that, you're going to get in some places where the lost are. Now, by definition, the lost don't end up in good places. That's what it means to be lost. You're going to have to go find them. That's where Jesus is going to take you. And when he takes you there, it's going to be a bad place. It's going to be a bad moment. It's going to be a bad start to Jesus doing something good. So when you find yourself in that place, one, be very, very mindful and very, very aware that Jesus is using you to reach somebody who is broken, who reach somebody who's hurt, who reach somebody who is lost. Now, the very first thing they do is strike out against you, is to try to push you away. Because everybody else has failed them, they're assuming that you're going to leave them too. So you may have to endure. What is that Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13? Love bears all things. So the anger you feel, the frustration you feel, the lashing out you feel, that you put all on me, and the power of Christ, I'm able to carry that. I'm going to take it out of your life. I'm going to bring it into mine. And I'm going to take it to Jesus in prayer and say, here's this person's pain. And Jesus is going to take my burden off of me so I can come back and love you better. You see, love in the New Testament is not defined by how you feel. It's defined by what you do. Love is always seeking the best for the beloved, always seeking the best for the person you love. Doesn't have anything to do with feeling. Has to do with what is best for that person in that moment. So when Jesus leads you to that bad place and somebody's doing some bad things, and this is the beginning of the story that's going to end up real good, ask yourself, how do I love this person? What is it that the beloved needs of me? What is it that Christ needs of me? How can we take this very bad place and turn it into something good? You're going to have those moments this week. When you do, redeem the moment. I'll give you about 60 seconds, and we'll talk tomorrow.